Test. Look like a piece of crap. Slightly better. Hello there, YouTubers and my fellow beloved viewers and dearest patrons. It's the 10th of April, 2025, both at Australian Eastern Daylight Time and local Beijing time. So since I kind of, it may appear to you guys out there that I kind of went on YouTube for the past several days, and and I again got knocked down by several severe depression episodes. Hence, I suppose I owe both you guys and myself another video pertaining to self-reflection and some more introspections and more talks about my future plans of actions and agenda, blah blah, and what I perceive to be on my mind regarding my true self and the man I kind of want myself to become / I plan to live the remaining the remainings of my earthly shitty life. Hence, here comes another live stream, another filming session in the form of a live stream. So during this live stream, I would like to talk more about emotional control and what keeps me going. How I managed to make this far in life despite all the hardships and persecutions and and maybe also a bit of stigma, social stigmatizations, and blah blah blah, and the common hardships, that we men tend to experience and undergo in this day and age. So so maybe you guys can tell that I look quite tired, quite exhausted, and yes, you in that you are correct, since I am currently indeed in the middle of kind of forcefully attempting to reset my already severely eroded and compromised circadian rhythm again and over after getting, tossed to and fro by my own weaknesses, my own vulnerabilities and infirmities. I do, tend to have to forcefully or manually reset my circadian rhythm here and there, more or less east and west, from time to time. And yes, I do perceive such, such phenomena, such phenomenon as a somewhat serious health issue to try to get resolved sooner or later. Since I do, plan to launch next, my next mission of exodus slash adventure, um, rather soon. Though I am not exactly sure when to launch it, when to put my plans, my ambitions, my reignited and ambitions into actions and practice. Um, Although yes, I did spend quite a considerable amount of time planning and drafting, what the um, to-do lists and all the budgeting and points or places of in, interest I kind of scheduled to pay a visit to. Um, and yes, I do see my current list of options highly limited due to my previous um, record and experience of getting cancelled by Japan in late year 2024. And yes, I do, more or less consider such thing as a significant hurdle and setback, since yeah, it did, played its part in contributing and somewhat reinforcing my existing symptoms of severe depression and anxiety, and frequent or you know or maybe intermittent sense, maybe also illusions of insecurities and blah blah blah, which means my thoughts and tentative decisions are, at least to a fairly noticeable degree, driven by fear and anxiety and worries and also maybe lust. Not just lust in the sexual sense, but also the lust to regain control of my own life by resorting to somewhat desperate measures of self-improvement and blah blah blah. Say doing at least 100 push-ups per day, or almost 100 push-ups per day, plus some other sorts of um, calisthenic exercises, such as switch lunges and blah blah blah. Though yes, I'm still learning my ropes about um, um, beg your pardon, calisthenics from several YouTube cha- channels. Namely, yes, I'm quite certain that you should experience little difficulty in in finding out which um or who that is, or who I am referring to here, by simply having a glance at the homepage of my channel. Yes, you should be able to see th thanks, not thanks, but thanks, yes, then plus x, that dude. And yes, he has more than more than 7 million subscribers, and that far exceeds Far From Weak, Green Hustle, and you know loads of highly successful, highly um, prestigious YouTubers I have come across so far. And yes, that should serve, and yes, which on the other hand should serve as another living testament to to one of my previous posts about whether um, which side, or which gender has a harder life, men or women. Well, to answer such a quick to answer such a question, you know um, well, to kind of summarize my answer, and to kind of also to reiterate my stance on such highly controversial um, topic of discussion is it depends, but generally speaking, yes, at um, younger age, say between you know infancy and early adulthood, that says late 20s to early 30s, women tend to have, fairly speaking, easier, fairly more comfy life than we men do. Although there are loads of women who are also suffering from homelessness, extreme loneliness, extreme depression, anxiety, destitution, domestic or non-domestic abuse. And are the various sorts of, gender specific or gender non-specific diseases, illnesses, blah blah blah. And and on the other hand, um, like I said, you should be able to see, another living beg your pardon, another living testament and example, to what I, you know, elaborated before, that women, do not necessarily have an easier human experience on planet Earth, since, no matter how big or how successful or how attractive, a female, a YouTuber of, who is a female human individual that I have come across so far on YouTube or on any other platforms, they are, so far I haven't seen, a single female YouTuber who has her number of subscribers um, exceeded 2 million subs. No, not at all. And yet, there are plenty. The vast majority of highly successful, highly prestigious YouTubers that I've come across on YouTube thus far are 90%, if not 95%, created and maintained by men, by, our kind, Yeah, I beg your pardon, but said. Welcome to my live stream and welcome back to my channel. Yeah. We all need sunshine. We all need rain. We all are different. And that leads us to grow from pain. Testament. That was what I was trying to say. I'm highly controversial and I'm a topic of discussion. Flew Toven, beg your pardon, in case I mispronounce your name, since apparently your name looks like Dutch or German. So since I speak neither languages, since I speak neither Dutch nor German, so yeah, there's a likelihood, there's a high likelihood I fail to pronounce your name appropriately. So yeah, do I ignore my emotions, transform them, or accommodate them? Certain say, I suppose, generally speaking, you have to, learn to channel your negative emotions, say your rage, your anger, your frustrations, and feelings of injustices, say feelings as you got this discriminated or mistreated based on your nationality or political view or religious beliefs or ethnic origins. In that case, you will have to learn, how to keep them at bay, and yet you cannot let them stack up and pile up and continue to let those who wronged you and potentially traumatize you live in your head free for a prolonged duration or period of time. Certainly, that does you more detriment or harm than good. And yes, I know it's easier said than done. I since I myself struggle with trying to get rid of that wicked woman completely from my life, from my mind, from my own spiritual realm. Um, and yes, it can certainly pose a significant level and, in the meantime, amount of challenge. And yes, and to make the matters worse, nowadays we men, tend to dwell, in a place or a circumstance of almost not complete solitude, like I am, and perceive that my circumstance, my own standing, my own surrounding will continue to get you know um, lonelier and lonelier as I age. Um, though yes, I do make strive to make you know to make changes to my life so that I can find my own path and get to network with more like-minded people face to face, like you guys say, for example. Though yes, I might not live to see the end of this pile of shystone and mess, so that I get to make that plan or ambition part of my and your reality. You know, water heals, plants grow, soil structural, light creation, destruction, dark refreshes, haunts, something like that. So follow the Tao then. I'm not exactly a Taoist, but yes, I do consider myself to be some sort of a stoic. Yes, more or less. Um, women have it their way, and men have it our way. We need to try to have more sympathy and shouldn't act like we are the same. Precisely, yes, I fully agree. I fully agree with such saying. You know, words, or to put it more plainly, it serves us no benefit whatsoever, to live, to dwell in the status or circumstance of victimhood. And yes, I have, learned that, both the hard way and the soft way. Say, at least I still have a roof over my head, and yes, occasionally I still, receive some help, either financial or non-financial from, from my relatives, namely from my adopted mom, one of my aunts and uncles. Though I can't really say the same, um, as for my other uncle and aunt. But I don't really, I am not that close to them anyway, and I certainly spent, a whole lot less time with them than I did with my adopted mom and, or I should say my quasi-adopted mom and my quasi-adopted old man slash one of my uncles whom I find to be more more familiar and much closer and much more accommodating to my own character and or I should say that sort of preferential vibe that I find a lot more accommodating and a lot more a lot easier to get along with in in contrast, to my other uncle and aunt, and the rest of my relatives. Um, Women oftentimes take advantage of men. Um, that desperate desperation, though. Yes, more or less, and I can't say that I am not exactly taking huge advantages of my grandpa and my adopted mom, since I'm at least still the dwelling in this flat, which my adopted mom has a fair share of, and more or less, they help with paying the, you paying for the utility bills, while I, yes, in terms of, food and other daily necessities, say clothing and maintenance of furnitures and some other tools and blah blah blah. Yes, I pretty much have taken, I should say, assumed full responsibility for. So yeah, in maybe in that sense, maybe in that sense, I have at long last grown into or evolved into a man instead of a boy, a quasi slash I should say a quasi, spoiled rich girl cheerleader. Yes, since yes, and from time to time, when I won't lie to you, but from time to time, while I while I oversleep and um, you know cuddling in the comfort of my quilts in bed, I oftentimes, or I should say from time to time, fantasize that I become a princess, you know. Yeah, and that's kind of, yeah, it may sound quite embarrassing and weirdo to some of you guys out there. I don't know, but yeah, that's the truth. and I follow every religion, but the two I like the most is Buddhism and Thes 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 Thessians. Thessians. We manifest destiny, so technically, whatever you believe in is your own truth because we are all God. Seth Anthony Wayne Young um, said here Anthony the Great Wagon Rider Yeshua or Yeshua. Seth loved Joseph Dave, Davia or David. Satan, Lucifer, Jesus, the devil, see the seethe and loathe Joe, Seth the devil. I beg your pardon, but I do struggle to make sense of what you mean or what you were trying to say here, by outlining a bunch of names, that seem to have, well, I don't know why you outlined um, Davia instead of David. Since I've never seen that name throughout the whole Bible. But yeah, that can we leave that more insightful discussion and analysis about them to my future videos if you don't mind. you know if you live 10 more years you'll see me die on the cross. I hope you are kidding. I hope you just told me a joke, a highly sarcastic joke. I got a lot of help from my adopted dad. Life is hard and we should feel bad for needing help. But society has controlled us with judgment and expectations when we should have more freedom and set regulations, acceptance, forgiveness, love. Like we should have birth rate regulations and restrictions on rich having more than poor. I wouldn't want to be a girl. I wouldn't want to be a girl. Sure, there are both upsides and downsides of being both genders. You know, either a man or a woman. But yes, it's well. Um, do you think the universe helps the individual or is neutral to the individual? For example, when you do something bad, the universe gives you a response, trying to make you trying to joking. I will die on the cross and end this sick twisted game. My right eye is blue and left eye is green with brownish amber around the pupil. That sounds like a super duper rarity among the whole gene pool of the entire human race. I've never seen um, a person with such ge- genotype face to face in my entire. But yes, certainly, you might have hit an evolutionary jackpot and consider yourself highly fortunate and, if not highly gifted or talented. Yeah. So speaking of the correlations between mind and matter, or the thoughts, the or the relationships or the sorts of bilateral tendency of interacting with one another between thoughts and actions, or mind and reality. Maybe, just maybe, to a certain extent or degree, thoughts do play their part in shaping our own reality. Though, yes, there are certain things that we just can't modify or change just by trying to fa- fantasizing or manifesting them in our mind, in our hearts and minds. Though, yes, certain exceptions, I believe, do occur. At least, in my case, for example, when it comes to LCD symptoms, from time to time, ever since mid to late year 2024, aka last year, I began to suffer from a newly developed type of OCD thought, which in turn triggered me into actually um, performing those highly monotonous, highly repetitive you know actions to say to constantly and repetitively wipe my own feet with toilet paper after I finish with having my number one, since I feared that I oftentimes fear that a piss on even a single droplet of piss slash of my own urine, spilled on my own body can bring me bad luck. Say, could have got my sorry ass and, amputated, and let's hope that never happens while I am still alive and fully aware. But yeah, it such thought, you know, which seems self generated, you know, compels me to constantly, um, you know, perform, those monotonous actions, and say by constantly and repetitively wiping and double checking my feet after I shake my hand with the president or with the prime minister of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. You know, I just but yes, there are also on some occasions I can somehow manage to sort of overcome those impulsive thoughts slash OCD thoughts by not giving them a damn, and pretend as if they are just breezes, they are just winds, you know um, passing by, you know. But yeah, more often than not, I just find myself constantly falling victim, to such OCD thought and symptom. Yeah, I beg your pardon, but yeah. But yes, on the other hand, yes, you guys, I give you guys my words that I shall strive to become the change I want myself to be. Because my parents have brown eyes and I'm slightly Native American, that might just explain, why you carry such rare genotype, But I am, by I am in no wise, by no means, a geneticist. So, don't just take my word for it. Instead, take your own time to do your own diligence when it comes to trying to get to the bottom of a doubt, or trying to seek out or dig out truths, or the truth pertaining to a certain matter or question. um, she's done it before, and I do it again. I have OCD as well, and it gives me great comfort knowing that I have no control over anything, ironically enough. We do have, some good, I believe we do have some control over something to some extent, um, generally speaking. But yes, there are, yes, certainly you will find, loads of, you know exceptions, to prove such saying completely false and, ludicrous, or even ridiculous. Yes. And yes, in fact, as a matter of fact, you can find, some of the videos made by, born to a 9 to 5 corrupt system. Well, specifically, he made a video, maybe 1 or 2 years ago, titled, not the exact quote unquote, yeah. Well, everything's are based upon theories, if my memory still serves, and in case if you're interested enough to investigate further, feel free to go to his channel and check out the video yourself. And yes, you will be able to find his the link to his channel fairly easily on the homepage of my channel. So yeah, I will give you the link in case you don't even bother, to make a few clicks of your mouse, or make a few more swipes on your smart devices, say your iPhone or Android, blah blah blah. Yes, feel free to check it out yourself during your time, at your own pace. No pressure and no rush. Yeah. You will soon begin to find his videos, a lot more engaging, a lot more philosophical than mine. Yeah. Constructive criticisms are much better than judgment. This is why I am the ultimate sinner, because I will die on the cross to summon judgment day. I don't. I doubt that. I doubt that. I highly doubt that, since Jesus already did already finished the necessary work for the salvation or the redemption of the entire humanity. So you don't have to do that. And um, all the pressure and rush and rush. No, not at all. You don't have to take my word for it. And again, you don't have to take my word for it. Not neither um, neither will you have to follow my instructions or suggestions, since I am not actually trying to manipulate you or indoctrinate you into sub unconditional submission, and then fall prey or fall victim to my you know unmatched charisma. No, no, not at all. Well, I'm just for the for the record, for the other half of my the other half of the expression are largely a highly sarcastic joke, so don't take it too seriously. But yeah, oops, beg your pardon. So yeah, emotional control part two. Yeah, I just you know the other way, to control your emotions. Say whenever you feel like shit and you want to cry, and yet you don't have to, yet have anyone, to lean your shoulder, to lean, on whose shoulder you lean, on your lean towards. Then you can simply cry to God, say after you watch a few, or you listen to a few tracks of KJV dramatized audio Bible, namely the epistle of Paul the Apostle to the Hebrews. The first three tend to make me cry. Yeah, so but yes, certainly do try to make me cry in front of a live stream. Yes, try me. Let's see what you have got. Let's see if you guys can make me cry in public. But yeah, well, I hope I hope it will never come to that. I just don't really tend to cry in public, and whenever I feel like crying, whenever I feel like shedding some tears, I always 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 do so privately, privately on my own, and while when my grandma was still alive, then yes, I whenever the urge to cry began to get so overwhelming, then I went to her and cried. Yeah, but other than her, I pretty much have no one to cry to. But yes, there were several occasions, or I should say, just a handful of occasions, when in which others, fairly close to me, namely, one of my adopted siblings and my adopted mom came to me and cried, and in the former case, I didn't cry alone, but I patted his shoulder, to try to reassure him. But in the latter case, yes, I cried along with my adopted mom, to to mourn, to grieve, to bereave for for the death of my grandma in back in October 2022, and that was nearly, yes, 2.5 years ago, nearly 3 years ago. And let's see, by the third, let's see if I can make my way out of this flat to another country by the third anniversary of my grandma kicking her bucket. I certainly, at least I myself, look forward to that, since um, it will certainly mark or symbolize another important um, milestone in my life, um, in which I managed to make a noticeable breakthrough. Um, Goku is Ultra Instinct, and Vegeta is Ultra Ego. Goku is Jesus, and Vegeta is Lucifer. Maybe you are right by saying Goku is, or at least somewhat resembles Jesus Christ, on several aspects. But I don't know about Vegeta, since I never finished. Um, I never finished Dragon Ball. Maybe in the future I will at least try to finish. I beg your pardon. Reading Dragon Ball, Raw manga. If I, well, so long as I have, more spare time, yeah, I'll see if I can finish Dragon Ball manga in the future, as long as I can squeeze some more time to spare, yeah. But that's not a promise. That's not exactly a promise, more important, more pressing matters to attend to at the moment. And yes, and again, I humbly and sincerely beg your pardon, for not being able to wrap up, all I want and all I plan to do. Well, but yeah, but yes, since nobody, I beg your pardon, but since nobody's perfect, so yeah, who cares whether or not you finish watching or reading a particular manga or anime or blah blah blah. But yeah, yeah, and speaking of women, some of you guys, may come to a conclusion that I've never, approach cold approached girls or women or any other female human individuals. And yes, and on that you might be terribly mistaken, since yes, I did make I did my attempt to code approach. Um, yeah, to code approach at least one go back in Japan back in year 2019. And yes, I did have some sort of meaningful conversations and interactions with her, face to face. And I did invited her to dinner, though yes, not to a fancy schmancy restaurant. Yes, though yes, I did. Well, fairly, somewhere fairly decent, though not so fancy schmancy. And yes, I did. Yes, I started a conversation with her, on the airplane, on the way, flying from Hokkaido to back to Fukuoka. Yeah, and there are some other occasions, where I did code approach women, but yeah, but yes, those cases were fairly, distant memories. Even I myself can't fully retrieve or recollect. So I will spare you guys, the whole details, lest you guys, get bored. So yeah, but yeah, I just but yes, I do, some, I do admit, to the fact that yes, I did not, unfortunately, receive, the the love and care I deserved during my early childhood and infancy. And well, at least so I imagined, based on my own speculations and observations, um, and speculations via deductions and logical, and all intertwined with quite a lot of emotional reasoning and entanglement, and also past, trauma in the past and at the present time is all intertwined and become a significant pile of mess of shystone that hinder my own judgment. And yeah, so, and therefore, yes, I do hold at least some sort of, grudge. I do admit that I at least hold, you know, a lot of, mistrust, if not grudges against women, in particular that wicked woman who allegedly popped me out from her stinking vagina, stinking twat, and claimed that she is my biological mother. Um, yes, particularly, I hold some grudges and bit, bitterness against her for not, giving me, the breast milk I deserved, and hence, you know, developed, some highly, highly, you know, twisted desires for women, for their, fleshly or corporeal corporeal bodies. Yes, I do, fact. Um, and yes, I suppose, I will die, with this, this and in my heart and mind of love, at least, if not about, love, so-called love between a man and a woman. When my time comes. but yeah, since everyone dies, so who cares? And what does it matter at the end of the day? Anyway, so go your own way, do your own thing, while you still can, while we still can. Um, at least well, I'm not, though I'm not trying to lecture or e- educate you into by saying you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to go there, you have to go that in order to bring sense of achievement or admiration or more fame, more money, more wealth to you. um, However, just make sure that you don't waste your masculinity. You don't let your youth, your potential, and you know heavenly given talents go to waste. And yes, in case you do succeed, in not letting your talents, your potential go to waste, yes, then yes, you can. Then pretty much rest assured, you can die at least without a single strand of regret, and that will certainly make your own life, your own death count, to say the least. And in that case, in that sense, at the end of the day, you know, at the end of your entire lifespan, then you can then proudly say that you have managed to live your life to the fullest, despite all the hardships, despite all the and you know ruthless treatment imposed on you by the world, by by those nobilities, or those the super duper rich and powerful folks, and you manage to defeat somehow defeat the odds or defy the odds to a certain, at least to a certain extent, by proving them wrong, by making them realize that they have at least fairly somewhat underestimated you at the end of the day, then yes, I can call a fairly successful life lived, fairly successful life spent, or killed. So yeah, and that's pretty much precisely what I am trying to accomplish here, with all my might, with all my heart. At least even if I do die prematurely, say, even if I do die without any offsprings, or without you know having lived to continue my old man's legacy, and yet I managed to to escape the wicked grasp of that wicked woman. And even if I do die in a foreign land, then yes, believe, or at least I imagine, I can still proudly say that I have defiled, I have fought to the end, I have defiled to the last drop of my blood, as a man should, as any masculine man should. Though yes, I may not, appear, so masculine or macho to to those of you guys, who are of well, in terms of ethnicity, Caucasian um, backgrounds. Yeah. But nevertheless, yes. At least at this point, I am still, fighting against, that woman's attempt to take control of me, of my life. At least, I am, at least, though I can't say that I have managed to actualize or achieve my ambitions, I am still at least, living life, at least, to a tangible, perceivable extent, that I'm living my life, on my own terms. I don't really have to, to go to a 9 to 5 in order to survive, in order to make ends meet. Thank God, Jesus Christ. Thank my grandma, and my adopted mom slash one of my aunts. Such condition, fairly, physically speaking, physically comfy condition. But yes, and that's about it. I can still, barely have any surplus money, to go overseas and bang, sluts and sluts or decent women on my own terms, for, how, for for as many and for as often as I wish. And that's still, well, at least, I have yet managed to achieve that. But I will do my best to see how far I can go on the way of, defiling and, rebelling, against the odds, against the hardships and injustices and trauma imposed on me. And yes, I certainly, look forward to seeing, um, I myself and you guys manage to make that part of the reality. So yeah, I suppose I have talked enough, as I can already, perceive, the moisture, the moisturization, the lack of moisture in my tongue and throat. So yeah. So in case you find this video somewhat helpful, or useful, or in alignment with your ideologies and um, um, philosophies of life, or living, please can consider smashing that like button and subscribing to this channel. So yeah, I highly appreciate. I highly appreciate you guys taking the time to watch and to listen to my rants and and vents. So yeah, if God's still willing, I hope to see you guys next time on my next videos and live stream. So yeah, so thank you very much again for tuning in, and yeah, stay out of trouble, and yeah, good luck to us all. Yeah, now go take care of business, and yeah, stay out of trouble, stay in one piece. Until next time, if God's still willing. Cheers. Bye. Amen.